Okay, well this has become just weird. So last night we witnessed what probably is the end of Erislandy's career as a major power player in the junior middleweight division. I say that because A, he looked a little older and a little slower. That's 20% of it. Probably 80% of it is that he no longer holds one of the title belts, which is how, as a crafty left-handed Cuban fighter, you get relevant fights against good fighters that people would pay money to see. So now maybe Jarrett Hurd, the winner of last night's fight, was a very, very close and good action-packed fight, gives Lara a rematch, but even as the resident, and that's me, Kelsey McCarson, the resident Erislandy fanboy, if you will, or whatever, I'd rather see Jarrett Hurd go on and fight Jermell Charlo. I think that's the big fight in the division, and we just saw. I mean, I thought like you could definitely tell as the fight progressed who was getting stronger, and who, if we were in the old style 15-round fight, I think Hurd would have won by a slightly larger margin. It was a really close and really good fight, but let's just take a moment to reflect on the Erislandy Lara that was. Do you remember his exploding eye punch against Alfredo Angulo? He was losing that fight, and then and it's like maybe it thumbed him. We don't know, but then Angulo's eye became like a massive hematoma. Right. That was awesome. What about when he should have beaten Canelo, but kind of pulled up off the gas pedal and then lost? That was frustrating. What about how I feel like Erislandy Lara though, for all his, I think about how many times I've seen him on television. And he's kind of like what Guillermo Rigondeaux should have been, he wasn't as talented as Rigondeaux, but maybe that got him more fights than Rigondeaux could get. He also, I think, had better management, and maybe just as for example, one of the things that Lara did, because Lara originally came here and lived in Miami, but he moved away from Miami to nearby Katy, which is here in Houston, a suburb of Houston. He moved here precisely to get away from that lifestyle, the kind of party lifestyle that the other guys were living down there. So I think that shows a maturity, and he's made a lot of money. He's been the main event fighter for a lot of Showtime fights and PBC fights. He's had a really great career.
What do you think when people talk about Erislandy's heart? So when you watch the Canelo fight, you might feel he's just lacking some heart. You want a fighter to go all out, whether that looks like you're gonna brawl or box.
I feel
he would box, right? Because that's his style, and stay. But you want to see that the whole fight. And when he fought against Canelo, that was a thing. And I feel like maybe back then I heard
questions about, because those were more probably around. Typically you would hear that because they ignore certain truths about, they ignore the Angulo fight, for example. He had to get off the floor, I think, at least twice to win that fight. And there's been other fights where they were tough. I mean, I was really impressed with what he did. I'll just recap kind of what I saw Lara do. Lara was in a fight against somebody who it doesn't make any sense how big Jarrett Hurd is. He is so gigantic compared to Lara. I don't even know how they're in the same weight division. He's got such huge arms.
I thought that last night too.
And
have we seen him next to Charlo?
He's bigger than all those guys. He's just a freak of nature, and he's got skinny legs and gigantic arms. He reminds me kind of Antonio Margarito, if Margarito was a freak of nature too, but the way he fights, right? Because Margarito was a volume puncher the way Hurd is, but both of them are more than just volume punchers. They could box, and they had kind of skill to what they did. And so Lara, at the beginning of the fight, was able to land punches a lot, land counter shots, but as that progressed, Hurd would take little things away from him and just crowd him. And I saw a moment in the fight, maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 rounds in, where kind of Lara had the face, the face fighters get, where they're I'm about to lose. They're that feeling, and everybody's had that feeling in life. If you're a fighter, whether you're fought or not, I'm saying it's something that we all experience in life, where you're this is not going like I planned, right? But in that moment, like I was so like happy just as a guy who's watched his career. This guy went out there and like he really tried to win the fight, you know, like he bodied up against Hurd and like and had some good, like it was a good fight, you know, like he was throwing punches back. He was just smaller, older, slower, you know, really exciting to see. And I hope that at the end of what seems like kind of the end of his time here, and who knows, maybe he's got a second act in him. Often there's been plenty of fighters who have done that. I'm not saying he should retire. I'm not saying that I'm saying what I kind of see in the tea leaves of how boxing works. He's probably going to turn into kind of like an Austin Troutish type fighter. Really
well, it's
good.
Already hard for Lore to get fights.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So like without a belt, and
he might
once
have to
you
fight
lose,
at middleweight now or something like that.
Yeah.
Like he'll be, for some reason, all of a sudden, Gennady Golovkin will want to fight him. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing would happen to Lara, as opposed to like, hey, I got this, you know, 154. Like, for example, there's no way you can mark this down. You can write it in pen. There's no way that the other belt holder, Solomon Lee, will get in the ring with Erislandy Lara right now. There's no upside to that. So that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Finally, Rachel, hit it. And dance by the light of the moon.